I'm a casting director in Los Angeles. I cast movies and television, sometimes theater, and I direct theater and I teach. Oh, sorry, my my name is April Webster.
Um, how do you define achievement?
That's a very difficult question. I think for me, it's about being able to find a quiet mind. Where I'm able to deactivate myself from all of the things I think I know and all the voices that tell me, and the worry and all that sort of thing. And achievement is really being able to find that center balance between not just between work and play, but between everything I do while I'm at work, while I'm at play. And to me, that's achievement. Um, at one time, it was if I always said if I cast one big movie, then I can quit casting. But that changed as I went along, and that was going to be achievement to me. I'm going to win an Academy Award. That was achievement to me. But as I've gotten older, I think achievement to me is having fun and having a good life and loving myself and the people around me. Well, I think what happens after a while when you're doing this job, and that's not to say you love it when everyone says that director put together a great cast. You say, "Hello, he did have a casting director." But if I can see it as doing service, that's my job. So it's the job, and you're not, to expect the kudos, to expect the back patting, doesn't happen so much. And when you're not waiting for it, somehow it happens more. I've had wonderful people I've worked with, and they've been incredibly acknowledging. And if they don't, I I don't let my ego get too caught up in it, because otherwise I would be miserable. I can't measure I can't measure my value by the fact that other people think I'm good. I can only measure what I do by if I feel satisfied with the work, and that's the most important thing. That I've done what I can do, that I've that I've put as much into it as I could, that I've covered all the bases.
When did you? I mean, I don't know of anyone who has ever woken up and gone, "Hey, I want to be a casting director." How did that happen?
Well, when I first started casting, that was people didn't say I want to be a casting director. Now they do. There are people who definitely want to be casting directors, but I fell into it. I worked in the theater in New York. When I moved to Los Angeles and started working in a theater there. And I was an equity stage manager and stage managed shows there and worked in every department. I worked in the casting office after having been the assistant director to their improv company at the Mark Taper Farm in California. So they needed someone to answer the phones at the casting office, and I knew a ton of actors from having lived in New York, and a lot of the New York actors had moved to LA. So we had a theater festival that very first year. I was able to work very well in it because I knew so many people and was able to actually function in a casting way. I'd only cast my own plays or plays I've been working on in the city. I'd never been a casting director. And that's how it happened. They needed someone to answer the phones. I used to work for a polling company. I used to work for Lewis Harris Polls in New York. So handling a bunch of phones at the same time was no problem for me. And they said, "Can you start today?" And that's how it all began, really.
What do you consider to be your greatest achievement? And this doesn't have to be professional.
My greatest achievement? Um, wow, that's tough. I don't know that I've reached that yet. I mean, I guess the greatest achievement would be
Oh, so far.
so far. I would guess the greatest achievement is learning how to better take care of myself and to not always put myself on the bottom of the list. I feel like after last summer, I took some time off last summer because I was very burnt out, and it was the first time I'd taken a vacation in a really long time. and it gave me the space to decide what was important. Um, and when I came back, I realized I wasn't as much of a workaholic as I had been, because I used to work because I had to. I would have to go in. I would be anxious if I wasn't working. I would work on the weekends. I'd stay till 11 o'clock at night. I had no life basically, because that I had to do that. Otherwise, the whole world would go spinning off of its axis. I think the greatest achievement is that I don't worry about that anymore. Now, it's either a function of age or a function of personal work, but I don't have that same anxiety all the time anymore. I'm not worrying about it all the time anymore. Whether the work's going to get done or whether it's going to be okay. It doesn't have to. I don't have to be a perfectionist when it comes to that. It can be just good. It doesn't have to be better than ever was. You know.
What would you say other people would say your greatest achievement is?
Star Wars, casting Star Wars, maybe. I think I have. You know, I have a very good reputation in my business, and I guess, in that, the fact that I've lasted so long and I stay so active, I guess some people would say that was my greatest achievement. I think, part of it is because I love what I do and I love actors. So what's better than being a casting director who has that point of view? Because otherwise, how miserable would I be? So I think the fact that I've been able to do it and not be freaked out all the time and not always be anxious and not always be like hysterical, that I can speak to the agents one on one, that I have relationships with them, and that I can do it by being so normal.
Because you're in LA.
Right.
It could have been really easy for you to be a bitch.
It could, but that's just not in my nature. I don't. I mean, if I'm incredibly trusting, but I've learned a lot to. I learned a lot about how to. Not everybody is a well-meaning person, so you have to know that when you know that. When someone lies to me, I get crazy. I get furious, and that's like the one place that it's really like being betrayed or being lied to. It's like I can go off on that, but um, I have always felt that I'd rather get everyone calm than run around like a chicken with my head cut off. I find it's much more productive. It doesn't matter who made the mistake. It doesn't matter who screwed that up. I'll even take the blame for something because it just gets us to move on to the next step. I don't have time to waste. I've been very lucky in that I've done a lot of work, um, a lot of work and a lot of inner work, a lot of meditation, a lot of other things that keep me much more caring about the overall picture than trying to attribute blame or trying to see, you know, it's like it just takes too much energy away from what needs to be done. I just can't waste my time doing